A neighborhood dog trots home with something in its mouth. The owner glances down and freezes. What they're seeing shouldn't be possible. It's a human arm, decomposed, belonging to a 16-year-old girl who vanished 6 weeks earlier. This discovery would lead police to one of the most disturbing crime scenes in New Jersey history. A cliff known as the Devil's Teeth. A teenager's body surrounded by wooden crosses, and 52 years of lies that are finally starting to unravel. This is the true story of Jeannette DePalma, a case where the truth has been buried deeper than the victim herself, where those sworn to protect and serve may have done the exact opposite, and where new evidence in 2024 suggests we finally know who killed her. But first, we need to go back to the beginning. August 7th, 1972, Springfield, New Jersey, a quiet suburban town where nothing ever happens. 16-year-old Jeannette DePalma had just celebrated her birthday 4 days earlier. She was everything you'd expect from a teenager in 1972, devoted Christian, Girl Scout, someone who helped other kids struggling with drugs. That Monday afternoon, Jeannette told her mother she was taking the train to visit a friend. She walked out of her house on Clearview Road and simply vanished. When she didn't arrive at her friend's house that evening, her parents knew something was wrong. Jeannette wasn't the type to just disappear. The next morning, they filed a missing person report with Springfield police. For 6 weeks, the search consumed the community. Volunteers combed through dense woods and thick foliage. Police followed every lead, but there was nothing. No trace of the teenage girl who had simply walked out her front door and into thin air. Then came September 19th, 1972. A local dog returned to its owner at a newly built apartment complex. In its mouth was something that would haunt this community forever: a badly decomposed human forearm and hand. Police traced the gruesome discovery back to its source, high atop a cliff inside Springfield's Hudile Quarry, a place locals had nicknamed the Devil's Teeth long before any of this happened. What they found up there defied explanation. Jeannette's skeletal remains lay inside what witnesses described as a coffin-shaped perimeter of fallen branches and logs. Several small makeshift wooden crosses surrounded the body. The scene looked ritualistic, deliberate, terrifying. Within hours, rumors began spreading through Union County like wildfire. Satanists, witches, ritual sacrifice. The local pastor, Reverend James Tate, openly speculated about occult killings. His statements, combined with the bizarre crime scene, sent shockwaves through multiple communities. Remember, this was less than a year after the John List family murders had terrorized the area. People were already on edge. Now they had what appeared to be evidence of something even more terrifying. But here's where the story takes its first dark turn. The autopsy revealed no cause of death, no broken bones, no bullet wounds, no knife injuries. The medical examiner, Bernard Ehrenberg, suspected strangulation, but couldn't prove it. Despite this, he found something else: unusually high levels of lead in Jeannette's remains. No explanation was ever given for this discovery. Police began floating theories about a drug overdose, despite finding no drug paraphernalia anywhere near the body. They knew Jeannette occasionally smoked marijuana socially, but her family and friends insisted she wasn't a drug user. The autopsy report made no mention of an overdose. Something wasn't adding up. Early in the investigation, police received a tip about a homeless man living in the woods near the quarry. Known locally as Red, he had allegedly fled his campsite shortly after Jeannette went missing. The lead looked promising, until authorities suddenly decided Red had nothing to do with the case. No explanation was given for this conclusion. Then something strange happened. The case file disappeared. But before we continue with what may be one of the most shocking cover-ups in American criminal justice history, I need to tell you something. The organization fighting for justice in this case has just revealed they know who killed Jeannette DePalma. After 52 years, they have a suspect, but they need your help to prove it. If you're as outraged by what you're hearing as I am, Go sign the petition at change.org. Search Justice for Jeannette DePalma. Because what I'm about to tell you will make you understand why this case can never be solved unless we force the system to act. In the late 1990s, Weird NJ magazine began investigating Jeannette's case after receiving anonymous letters. Editor Mark Moran discovered something that should shock every American. The Springfield Police Department claimed their entire case file had been destroyed in flooding caused by Hurricane Floyd in 1999. 27 years of evidence, gone. But here's the problem with that story. Other sources claimed copies of the file still existed. When pressed, authorities became evasive, hostile, defensive. Mark Moran teamed up with journalist Jesse P. Pollock to write Death on the Devil's Teeth. Their investigation uncovered multiple instances of what appeared to be a deliberate cover-up, connections to other unsolved murders, previously unknown suspects who were never properly investigated. In 2024, something unprecedented happened. Weird NJ magazine obtained copies of the original case file from the Union County Prosecutor's Office. The same file that was supposedly destroyed 25 years earlier. When they reviewed the actual crime scene photographs, their conclusion was devastating. There was no evidence of occult activity. None. No stick crosses, no stone circles, no animal remains. Everything the public had been told about ritual sacrifice was a lie. For over 50 years, this community had been terrorized by the idea that Satanists were operating in their backyard. Families lived in fear, children were warned about the devil's teeth. An entire mythology was built around Jeannette's death. All of it was false. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. In 1972, the FBI crime lab tested stains found on Jeannette's underwear, bra, blouse, and slacks. The report stated these stains were too decomposed for conclusive blood and semen examinations using 1972 technology. That evidence still exists. Sitting in storage. Untested with modern DNA technology that could identify her killer. Edward Salzano, a member of the Justice for Jeannette organization, sued the Union County Prosecutor's Office to have this evidence tested. The clothing could contain the killer's DNA. Fingernail scrapings from Jeannette are also in evidence storage. This is where the story becomes truly infuriating. Jeannette's death is still classified as a suspicious death, not a homicide. This administrative classification creates a legal roadblock that prevents authorities from pursuing criminal charges, even if DNA evidence identifies a suspect. Her death certificate, 52 years later, still reads, "Pending further study." Think about that. A teenager's decomposed body was found surrounded by makeshift crosses on a cliff called the Devil's Teeth. The medical examiner suspected strangulation. High levels of lead were found in her remains. And 52 years later, authorities still haven't officially classified this as a murder. But wait, it gets worse. In 2021, convicted serial killer Richard Cottingham, known as the Torso Killer, made a series of written statements to journalist Jesse P. Pollock. In these letters, Cottingham alluded to having possibly abducted and killed Jeannette while she was hitchhiking. Cottingham, who claims to have murdered between 85 and 100 women, was active in New Jersey during the exact time period when Jeannette disappeared. He was known for dumping bodies in wooded areas after torturing, raping, and brutally killing his victims. Pollock turned these letters over to the Union County Prosecutor's Office. As of 2024, law enforcement has provided no updates on whether they've investigated this connection. However, some investigators have dismissed the Cottingham theory. They argue that whoever killed Jeannette would have needed intimate knowledge of the quarry area to transport her body to such a remote location. The cliff is surrounded by 120 acres of steep hills, dead trees, and loose quarry stones. So if it wasn't Cottingham, who was it? According to the Justice for Jeannette organization, they believe they know. In July 2024, they posted an update to their petition stating, "We know who did it, but we can't prove it unless her evidence is tested and her body is exhumed." They are currently working with the medical examiner's office and prosecutor's office to get access to more evidence. They claim to be very close to getting answers, but need public pressure to force authorities to act. The organization, founded by Jeannette's nephew, John Bancy, along with Edward Salzano and Holly Zuel, has been fighting for justice for years. They've held prayer vigils, launched petition drives, and generated over 125 million worldwide viewers across social media and news outlets. Their message is simple: change Jeannette's death classification from suspicious death to homicide so that modern DNA technology can finally identify her killer. But even with all this evidence, even with potential DNA samples, even with a suspect, the case remains officially unsolved. Why? Because the system is designed to protect those in power, not to deliver justice for victims like Jeannette. The Springfield Police Department has maintained their silence for decades. The Union County Prosecutor's Office continues to drag their feet, and a killer walks free while a family suffers without answers. There's another disturbing detail that's often overlooked. According to the Hulu documentary Out There: Crimes of the Paranormal, a retired police officer admitted that Jeannette's purse was never entered into evidence. Think about that. A missing teenager's purse, which could contain crucial evidence, was simply ignored by investigators. This isn't incompetence. This is a pattern of deliberate obstruction. The case has connections to other unsolved murders in the area. Joan Kramer and Carol Ann Farino were killed around the same time period with similar circumstances. The book, A Long Walk Home, points out these similarities and urges that all three cases be reclassified as homicides. But here's what makes Jeannette's case particularly heartbreaking. She wasn't just any teenager. She was actively working to help other kids struggling with drugs. She did missionary work for her church. She was planning to attend Bible college. She represented everything good about her generation. And she was silenced by someone who has never faced justice. If you're watching this and feeling the same outrage I am, you need to act. The Justice for Jeannette organization needs to reach 5,000 signatures on their petition before authorities will take them seriously. They're fighting against a system that's been covering up the truth for over 5 decades. Go to change.org and search Justice for Jeannette DePalma. Sign the petition. Share this story. Demand that her death be reclassified as a homicide so that modern DNA technology can finally identify her killer. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. Jeannette's killer is most likely still alive. The DNA evidence exists. The technology to solve this case is available right now. The only thing standing between justice and another cover-up is public pressure. Jeannette DePalma was 16 years old when she was murdered. She would be 68 today if she had lived. Instead, she's been dead longer than she was alive, and her killer has enjoyed over 50 years of freedom. But it doesn't have to stay that way. The Devil's Teeth Cliff still looms over Springfield, New Jersey. It's a reminder of what happens when those sworn to protect and serve choose to hide the truth instead. But it could also become a symbol of justice finally served, if enough people demand it. Don't let Jeannette's voice be silenced forever. Sign the petition, share this story, and never forget that in America, justice delayed is justice denied. But it's never too late to demand the truth, because Jeannette DePalma deserves better than 52 years of lies, cover-ups, and administrative roadblocks. She deserves justice, and with your help, she might finally get it. The question isn't whether this case can be solved. The question is whether we have the courage to force the system to solve it. The answer is in your hands.